Hi, this is Sky, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about the concept of manhood. What does it mean to be a man? I mean, obviously, scientifically, you just have to have an XY chromosome and a dick. There you go. But manhood is more of a conceptual topic. It's more of a fluent idea. Everybody has their own opinion of what it would be. You know, a lot of us as boys grew up with fathers who always told us, you got to be a man, you got to be a man. And many of us, I know me, I never really knew what that meant because my father didn't really present what I thought a man should be. Guy didn't work out, had an awful body, fat, out of shape. What makes that a man? Is a requirement of manhood to be a fat, beer-bellied guy with titties? Is that what a man is? I don't want to be that way. You know, and this is what I thought as a kid. Is a man somebody who had a ninth grade education and is dumb as shit, refuses to read books, has no knowledge, can't talk about any subjects, is boring to talk to about anything other than the one thing he knows about, it's drugs or crime, get into any other type of topic, politics, religion, philosophy, current events, anything, and this guy's instantly lost, like a fool? Is that what manhood is? Is manhood just being able to cut yourself and throw some super glue and duct tape on it and not go to the doctor and just be like, I got this, break your arm and be like, I don't need a doctor, I'm so tough, just to man up? You hear that so much, man up, and it really means just toughen up, stop complaining. Is that what manhood is just being so tough that you don't need to go to the doctor and that you could cut a finger off and just be like, yeah, I'm a fucking man, I don't need shit? Is that what it means? You know, does manhood mean that you don't cry? And I sit there and watch my father get dumped by woman after woman. My mother was one of them. My father was married 7 times, got dumped by every single one of them. And for good reason. And he didn't cry for a single one. Does it make you a man to never cry? But here he's drinking 10 cases of beer a day and slamming heroin all day long and doing meth and all kinds of drugs to numb the pain. You know, I mean, these were the notions of manhood that I'd grown up around. And when I have this guy sitting there telling me all the time, be a man, I don't even know what it fucking means. No idea what it means. So I had to learn on my own. I probably did the worst thing you could do. I went out in the streets and I started finding older men to teach me how to be a man. And I had many older kids that would teach me what they thought being a man was. It was always bullshit. And here I was, 13, learning how to be a man from a 16-year-old. You know, 16, learning how to be a man from a 25-year-old. And, you know, I know anything over 18 is technically an adult. But I'm 48 now. And even though I felt like a grown man when I was 25, I look back on myself now and just laugh. Because I was a kid at 25. You still all are. You're still developing. Your mind is still developing. I really think that manhood, the notion of manhood, doesn't really occur until later in life. I've had people tell me that you don't really become a man until you're 50. And I can understand why they say that, because it takes a long time for a guy to mature and to get over all the bullshit that we learn from all the suckers and all the losers and all the poor role models and television and movies and our own fantasy of what we think a man is that's just gathered from, you know, bullshit ego fucking stuff. It takes a long time to get over that. And it's not until you start meeting older guys. Go talk to an old man. Go talk to like your grandfather about this topic. Those types of men, they really have it under control. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They really get it. And they're not puffing themselves up. A man doesn't just have to be some badass at the gym. Just because you work out a lot doesn't mean you're a man. A man doesn't have to be somebody who has no concept of wearing a condom and can impregnate as many women as possible. And trust me, I know guys who do that. I know guys who have 5 kids that they can't afford and they can't take care of with 5 different women, and they're actively trying to have more. And they think, because they feel like that's what manhood is. I got a dick and I fuck, and it's really weird shit. You finally, at a certain age, you get over all that stuff. I feel like now that I'm pushing 50 and I'm 48 years old, that I'm just starting to get it. And I can honestly say that probably right around 40 years old, I started to feel a transformation in my head of letting go of the old idea of what I thought a man was, and I could list all the various traits that, sure, we see those in movies and we see those with other men around us. I saw those in my father, but that's not what true manhood is. That's just the way that motherfucker was. That's the way that certain people that are in that class bracket, that don't have an education, that whatever, you can paint this profile, that's the way those people are, but that doesn't mean that's what manhood is. So what really is it? And I can't come with this video and give you an outlined, here's an 8-point program of what it means to be a man, do these things and you're there. And you can be like, oh, okay, great. It's going to be, whatever those 8 points are might be different for you than they are for me. If we both sat down together and I wrote down my idea of manhood and you wrote down yours, obviously they'd be different. But what I've learned for myself is that the ideal man is somebody who lives a mind, body, and soul lifestyle, treats their mind, body, and soul with respect, not just for their own longevity and their own personal evolution, which is important, but to be able to contribute to the world. I really think that that's a huge part of humanity and of manhood, of being able to build stuff, being able to contribute. And that's the legacy that we leave. For me, an ideal man isn't just in good shape. I respect people who are in good shape because it shows that they care about themselves. It shows that they have an eye where we have a body. You can't just be lost in your mind, but you can't also just be lost in your body. If you're just some workout goon and that's all you do is work out all day, that doesn't make you a man. Like I said, you got to go further with it. So I see a guy, my ideal manhood model in my head as I've gotten older is not just to be physically in shape for myself and my own longevity, but for those around me. It's important for my family and my friends, the people that I care for that are in my inner circle, that I live long and live healthy, because I need to be there for people. People rely on me. And that's important for me as a man and in my idea of manhood, to be able to be available to people so I can help them. Because men help people. We're helpers. That's what we do as men. And you have to be able to help people. You don't want to get too lost in ego. If you have kids, it's a good idea to be a role model. I don't have kids, so I don't want to get lost in ego and think that I'm being a role model for other men. But if you have kids, it's very important to be a role model for your kids. So stay in shape for your kids also, not just for yourself, not just so you can live long enough to see your kids grow up and see your kids become old, but you don't want to die and leave from diabetes or from your own lack of self-care and leave your kids to fend for themselves. That's horrible. So you have people that rely on you, and it's good to be a role model for those people and to be there for those people. So that's the health aspect. The mind is, I really believe that the ideal male has a lot to contribute, is intellectual, not just good with their hands and working class. There's not two types of people, just mechanics and scientists. No, you got to be both. And if you can't be both, you're being a child, in my opinion. You're lost in a childlike resistant, I don't want to kind of attitude. You need to get over that. You need to be everything in order to be a complete human. And that's, to me, what the ideal man is a complete human. Somebody who can think and build. Yeah, I'll go fix my car. And I can also sit and do my math homework with my child. Complex algebra. I can read a book and comprehend really complex theories and then have conversations about that with other people in my circle and explain religion, politics, philosophy, current events, history, various aspects of English literature and symbolism, and they can go on and on with topics. Become experts in that shit. And that's what I think a man does. is able to have that kind of knowledge, not just to be able to say, look at me, but to pass that knowledge on to everyone and to those to around them, and to inspire other people around them. Man, that person is so smart, and I really respect that. We respect smart people, and I know I do. And it's not just about being able to fix stuff, and I think that's essential. I think it's important to be mechanically minded. Men used to be, you had to build your own home. When cars were first put on the roads and people were driving around in the 30s, there wasn't all these mechanic shops. You had to fix that shit yourself. You had to learn how to do this yourself, and there was an idea of manhood, of being a fixer. That's important, and you need to keep that. And when I meet men that are lost in intellectualism and they only study intellectual thought, you can look at a lot of these guys. Their bodies turn soft. They can't do simple manual labor. You should be able to do manual labor until you're an old man. That's part of being a man, in my opinion. But it's not the only thing. If you're an old man who can push a plow and you can't read a book, you haven't been, in my personal opinion, you're not a full man. The model of manhood, you're not meeting it. You're only doing one of the boxes, checking off one box. I think that a perfect man is able to be in relationships successfully without being the child in the relationship. How many men do you know around you? I can name names. I don't feel like calling people out on this video, but I could go through half of this town where I know people that are great people and they're in relationships that they're happy with. But the woman takes care of not only the kids, but she takes care of her husband too. She takes the husband is like one of the kids almost. Emotionally, mentally, has to clean up after him, do his laundry, feed him, take care of him, coochie coo him when he needs to be pat on the back so he can have a good day, validate him on every turn. There's so many men like this. This is the Homer Simpson model of men. This is why there are so many TV shows like that, starting from, the Honeymooners, going through the Flintstones, Married with Children. We could just name hundreds of TV shows and thousands of books where they have this model of man that is just this lazy sloth, uneducated loser who somehow lucks out to get this woman who's willing to take care of him. And this is a very real model of relationships. That, in my opinion, I've been around that in my family. I have lots of people men in my family who are exactly like that. I don't respect that. I think that a man should be able to step up in the relationship and not be the child, but be an adult in the relationship, should be able to be able to offer emotional support for his significant other, to be able to be emotionally mature, to be able to, if you have kids, take some of the weight of childbearing and child rearing and parenting off of your significant other, rather than putting yourself onto the pile. Yeah, you got to take care of them, but I need to be taken care of too. I need validation too. Tell me you love me too, or else I'm going to pout. To me, that's not being a man. And I've been around men like this my whole life, so I've had to learn about manhood through, I don't want to be that way, or I don't like this. Some of that is not just external, but looking internal. And believe me, I've been these ways. Everything that I'm talking about, I've experienced from firsthand, not just witnessed it. And it's really important as a man to be able to look at yourself and not to just have people do interventions and say, hey, buddy, you need to correct your course. And if you're a man and your friends or your family say that, you have to be humble enough and not push back. You're not perfect. You have to be fluent like water, or be able to bend like a palm tree. You don't want to be an oak tree. Oak trees fall down in the storms. And you want to survive the storms. And a man can be humble, but it comes from from yourself. Other people won't need to tell you how to be and complain about you to your face if you can be on top of your game all the time. And that, to me, is also a part of manhood. In my ideal mode that I've created, manhood is somebody that is constantly on top of their game, constantly evolving, constantly striving to be a better person, not just for their own survival and happiness and getting through the day, which is important, but also to enrich the lives of those around you. You don't want to be a burden to other people as a man. You want to be an asset to other people. You want to be a leader. That's what alpha means, in my opinion, is leadership. Not just being a tough guy, being able to push people around like a bully. That's not, to me, a definition of alpha. Some people think that being alpha is like Clint Eastwood and being beta is like Woody Allen. That's all bullshit. And, you know, when you get older, I've noticed, like I mentioned before, when you talk to old people, they tell you this stuff. And they'll tell you what they feel is being a man is all about. And I'll end the video because I don't like to make these too long. But one of the main things that I feel like is a barrier, a hindrance, kind of a brick wall with a lot of men's development in some of these areas that I'm talking about, with living up to their potential and emulating this idea of manhood that's positive and productive for society, is ego. And I'll end it here. Ego is a huge topic. I could do a whole other video just on that. But our egos can be our worst enemy, especially as men. Women don't have as much problem with it. They can be more humbly, more easily. We can't. You don't have to puff yourself up. We all have flaws. Recognizing our flaws doesn't emasculate us. That propels us forward. In my opinion, a true man is always moving forward. And the only way to move forward is to look around you and to dot all your I's, you know, and to handle your business and to constantly be on top of you, of various aspects of your personal growth so you can be there for other people. And that takes a humble motherfucker to be able to do that. And you really have to get rid of your ego and to put it in check. You'll never get rid of it completely. We always have an ego. So when I say get rid of it, I don't mean some magic trick where you walk around and say, I'm an egoless male. That's not possible. What I believe is possible, though, is to keep it in check and to recognize what is ego and what's not serving me, what's not serving those around me, what is just self-serving childhood thought that I was taught through a false image of manhood, and how can I break beyond that? And we need to do that every day. And old men do this because they've lived these lives and they've gone through all of this, and they can look at it and laugh. And they, you know, I'm not saying all old men are living to a true notion of manhood. We can always find plenty of examples. I'm just kind of using a generalization. But I really believe that ego is an important aspect to all of this that I'm talking about. So thanks for listening.